Welcome to the Pen Leader Podcast, where strategic leaders get straight to the topics, strengthening our awareness and sharpening our minds. The Pen Leader Podcast is produced by Roar, a production division of Mays & Associates Ltd. Find out more at www.maysassociatesltd.com. Now here is your award-winning host, Dr. Shanda Gore.
And welcome to the Pen Leader Podcast. Today we're going to be talking about magazines with a mission. And I have two guests with me today. I have Mr. Michael Richardson, who is the founder of the Richardson Family Media Company. He connects families and communities in Northwest Ohio through his publishing company. He produces Perrysburg Living, Anthony Wayne Neighbors, Holland Neighbors, Sylvania Neighbors, Bowling Green Living, and Defiance Living magazines. And these are all monthly lifestyle publications celebrating the best of what makes each community special, all within a family-friendly setting that's free of divisive or political-oriented content. So that's wonderful. And he's been doing this work for over 21 years of working with school music programs and the world of music and education. And we'll talk a little bit more about how that merged together. I also have with me Miss Stayce Fowler, who is the founder and publisher of Pursuit Magazine, and that is a national platform that amplifies stories from communities across the nation, celebrating purpose, resilience, and cultural connection. She is a storyteller, a strategist, a community builder, dedicated to creating opportunities where people feel seen, heard, and valued. And she blends so much of what the work she does, of that unique style of heart and hustle to everything she does. So I'm excited to have her on the show. And without further ado, hello, Michael. Hello, Stayce.
Hello. Thank you for having us.
Yes, thank you. So I'm going to start off with the first question. I'm going to start local and we'll go to that global presence. But Michael, how would you define leadership with the context of your magazine publishing since you're doing so much local?
Sure. Well, I appreciate that question. I think we have an obligation today to not forget all the good that is invested into our local communities. And we have people who work tirelessly to make sure those wheels are turning. And sometimes the more sensationalized things that happen can get all the glory, it seems. But I think it's important to lead in our communities by reminding ourselves of the common things that we have, the things that bring us together, the things that unite us, and the opportunities that those afford us to be communities, to support each other, to look out for each other and encourage each other. So focusing on those things, I think, is paramount in leading. And I hope in a small way, I can be part of supporting that cause.
Yes. And I think with the 6 communities I think you're working with now and you're growing that network, it gives that hometown feel of being a positive voice. So thank you for that. And Stacey, you're doing it on a national platform now.
Yes, I am. My vision is to, similar to Michael's belief, how he connects communities at a basic level. We want to make sure that we're reaching people from a local perspective, even though it's a national feel. And, basically we all have similar things that are important to us. And when we're talking about our value systems and how we live our lives, we want to make sure that we're telling those stories and people are able to understand that they're more alike than they are different.
It sounds like you just launched Pursuit. Is that right?
I did. I just launched Pursuit. Our first issue just landed this past weekend.
Yay!
I know. It's really exciting. We launched in several cities, a few cities in Ohio, obviously with more of a focus on Toledo at this point. But as we grow in these other areas, you'll start to see more stories from the Atlanta area. A few of the communities are surrounding Atlanta. Same with Los Angeles and also Harlem, New York. And the reason why I picked those places is I've either lived there or I have family there. And, it's just those conversations that we have that I thought this would be really kind of interesting to see how we can see other people living, right? We're going to find, I believe, that we may learn some things, which is always the goal, but we'll also feel more connected.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed.
Mm-hmm.
And this goes into some leadership philosophies because you are both accomplished. You both are leading, meaning leading conversations in the publishing world, and you've actually selected magazine format to do it. But Michael, what are your leadership philosophies that guide you in your editorial and your business decisions?
Sure. So we really believe there's a need today for people to just share things about their lives without fear of what a lot of our other platforms will do, which is open you up to criticism and a lot of divisiveness. I know people who are afraid to use social media platforms because just posting a recipe may somehow offend someone. And it's certainly good to be sensitive to others, but I think it's in today's age, we're all looking for a place we can just express ourselves without fear of someone taking that information and steering it in a direction that we never intended, never considered, or that doesn't actually benefit anyone. And so I take it very seriously that the premise of what we're doing is quite simple. However, I know people want to be heard. They want to be seen. They want their stories to be told, and they'd like to think that they can do that in a way that again is not interfered with. So I take it to heart that our platform will do that and provide that. And so my role is to protect that space, to keep out anything that might concern someone or make them feel like it's not a safe place to talk about just the simple things that matter to them. And it's refreshing that I think most people abide by that. Sometimes we have things that we choose not to share because it might be borderline on whether it's going to be necessary for our families to know about it. But people have told me over and over again, thank you for creating this space where I can just be me and no one can post on it, comment on it. I shared it because I hoped it would bring something positive for them. It certainly is positive for me, and nothing interrupting that goal is kind of refreshing. And so I take that to heart and do my very best to cultivate that space for everybody.
Mm-hmm. And Stayce, it sounds like from your selection of the cities that you have decided to, again, get the magazine into the hands of the individuals that live there. Sounds very similar for you too. Would you agree?
Yes, I would agree. However, and I've always wanted to make sure our stories are positive. You know what I'm saying? I believe that you can even tell hard stories from a positive angle. But, when you look at Ohio, cities in Ohio like Toledo or Cleveland, our audience there is grounded in hard work and loyalty to community and determination to be seen. And you go to Atlanta, it's filled with unapologetic ambition, right? Los Angeles, you have the intersection of art and activism. A lot of people go out there to reinvent themselves. And of course, Harlem in New York, you're part of something historic, right? And there's a sense of urgency there. So I tell these stories so that I don't want it to be, the same story in each city because each city is so different, but still at the core of who we are as people, right? All of these cities are connected by their shared desires, to be seen, to have their truths be told, to build legacies. And that's kind of what I'm looking to do.
Mm-hmm. Well, it sounds like, again, local voices and stories, Stayce, from what you just shared, are still coming through. It's a magazine that's in different cities, but understanding the context of where that city is rooted and the history behind it. Sounds like you do a lot of research and thought behind that. What role do you see it's going to be in the next 5 to 10 years? I mean, Stayce, I'll start with you with that because of the fact that you're doing a national.
Mm-hmm. I love storytelling. I believe that storytelling is a connector. And I think in the next 5 to 10 years, that's going to become even more prevalent and more important. I believe deeply in the power of personal stories to inspire progress and to be intentional about using, your experiences to build and bridge communities. And I just see that that's going to become more and more important as years go by. So that's my focus until obviously we have more than we've had over the last 5 to 10 years. Things are not just in print, even though we are in print and we're also digital. But I just see that offering that what we have to offer by storytelling is most importantly if we can get in front of people where they are, however they need to get the information. So we'll be exploring lots of different ways to get out there.
Okay. And Michael, what are your thoughts in the next 5 to 10 years?
Well, I really agree and appreciate with what Stacey's saying. I think storytelling is is foundational to who we are. I mean, our history is a combination of us sharing our stories from generation to generation, and it's just kind of ingrained somewhere. Someone can maybe tell me where, but somewhere in our DNA, there's a strand of something there that just kind of we all have within us. And so what I observe and what I see is that we all like that opportunity to tell our story. We all like to be able to share what matters to us. And then I think we crave and long to find out what matters to other people, because something within us wants to find those common points where we can realize we have more in common than we don't. Mm-hmm. And when we share our stories, that's revealed, sometimes in very simple ways and sometimes in very complex ways. And so I think the desire to have a platform where you can share something and it's clear what that is that you can share, and you can trust an authenticity to it because it's not a flash in the pan. It's committed to ink. There's thought behind it. It's I'm saying it, and now I'm going to have to stand behind it. I think people like that you to hear someone's true voice, true story. I think it's part of our history. It'll be part of our future, and I hope that people will continue to be encouraged to talk about who they are and what matters to them, particularly if they know they have a place that is ready to help them make that happen, without a lot of the other roadblocks that can sometimes get in the way, or again, opportunities to steer that what was somebody presumed was a safe opportunity into something that meant that sensationalized it or mm-hmm. changed it or manipulated it. People want something that's real and they can trust.
It's interesting you say that about the digital. I know Stayce mentioned her platform. She's doing both digital and print. And Michael, my guess is that you're also doing the same thing, looking at the digital side of it as well as print. So this really goes into the question is, what are your thoughts about that print side of having a magazine, because a number of them have not survived. And what are your thoughts on how print is going to, or will it move forward? I'll start with you, Michael.
Sure. Well, I'm old enough that I remember a time where my home growing up was filled with magazines. It was filled, every day the paper came to our home, and we had these kind of a smaller group of channels that we shared information. And today, of course, you can't even keep up. Every time you turn around, there's a new social media platform or opportunity, which is exciting, but also it sometimes makes our connectivity a little bit more difficult. And so I think as things kind of ebb and flow, we're coming back into a time where people are kind of longing for that physical presence again, something I can actually hold, something that I could set down and it'll be where I left it. I don't have to go back and search for it again, so to speak.
Yes.
Maybe it's just me, but what was that article I read online? I can't, and so it's good to have accessibility without question. But I speak to a lot of younger homeowners who get our publication, who tell me that getting a magazine that comes to their home monthly is a complete novelty to them. Mm. They grew up in a generation after mine where they didn't get anything that came to their home really. And so they're like, this is exciting that something shows up in my mail that isn't something that maybe I would file away so that it goes away. I think we kind of went really far one direction. And so you're seeing even in industries a resurgence of print things, from toy catalogs to weekly shopping magazines and things of that nature. I think there's a resurgence in the power of print. And again, we like things that we can hold on to. And so I think both in the future and so on and so forth, there's an opportunity here to create some really meaningful things that people will like and encourage that platform to grow and give it some renewed life, because I don't think it went away. I think it just shifted gears a little bit. And so I think that's exciting.
Mm-hmm. Stayce, what are your thoughts on that?
Oh my gosh, I totally agree with Michael. Print is timeless and it's tangible, it's transformational for me and for our audience. I think people are looking to slow down. They want something in their hand where they can just sit, turn the pages, and just really immerse themselves into something they can touch and feel. Mm-hmm. So I agree. I think that print is not going away. I think it has made a resurgence, and it just drives a deeper emotional connection. And you can hold on to these forever. I remember too the homes where you walk into and you have all the magazines laid across the coffee table. My mom still does that, and she told me, "Don't you ever go away from print." So I will be in print.
Understand. So this leads me to my question about the vision and the future of your own publications and what you see. And Think about this. I'm going to preface it with the understanding that AI is playing a big part in writing stories. And I think Michael hit on it earlier about what's truth and what's not, and then the digital side of it, and with media and having people respond. And then how this form is really encapsulated, where it's the story is out there and it is what it is. There's no chance for response. What is the future of your publication? Where would you like to see it go? Stacey, I'll start with you.
Well, I actually see the magazine as, well, first of all, we're navigating life. Our readers, ourselves, we're trying to be resilient and purposeful, right? And I actually see us moving into other areas. To me, the magazine is, I'm not just doing a magazine. I'm actually publishing content. I'm doing it to build a movement. It's hope. It's community transformation. So whatever that means goes beyond storytelling. But how do I impact community, especially for the underrepresented voice, and building systems of opportunity? Basically, it's more than just the magazine. I see being in the community, creating opportunities for children to be able to have their voice heard. I have lots of things in my head that I have actually started working toward. As you know, I shipped my first issue. So we have a long way to go, but we have some really exciting things to come.
Mm-hmm. Before I go to Michael, Stacey, how can people find your magazine? It sounds like it's in those different cities, but they can go online. Where can they find it?
Yes, you can go to thepursuitmag.com and you can subscribe there. You can subscribe just digitally or for digital as well as print.
Excellent. Thank you. Michael, what is your thoughts on that too, with the vision and the future of your publication or publications?
Yeah, I love what Stacey shared. Again, we're never going to run out of stories that not only that we can share, but we need to share, that we need to talk about. And so I've been very humbled by the growth of what we've done in Northwest Ohio. My hope is, and our plans are, just to continue expanding where we're being asked to expand. A very quick, my background previous to this, which you kind of alluded to earlier, was before entering this arena, I used to work with school music programs throughout Northwest Ohio. And so I spent over 2 decades literally standing in the band rooms and orchestra rooms and choir rooms of school districts all over the area, week after week after week. I really got to know what made people tick in different communities, versus maybe their friends down the road. And so my vision for the future is where we are now with our publications. Those are communities I've spent a lot of my life being in and getting to know the families and what makes that community special. And so it's deeply personal to me to just continue to get back and retrace my footsteps on places where I've already spent a lot of my life, because I know they're not just great communities, but they have great people, and they're unique people. That are just there in those moments, and we want to capture the things that they want to talk about and share with their neighbors and give them a way to do that. So my hope for the future is that there's just no turning back. We just keep pushing that opportunity, because again, my hope is that more people than not will want to have a common and positive strain that they can see between themselves and support that.
Excellent. And where can we find your publications?
Sure. So actually, what's unique about ours is they are only available in a tangible print version. You can get more information about them by searching any of our magazine titles in my name. You'll find me pretty quickly. But there are other aspects that we do within the community around them, but they just live and breathe as that publication, and that is somewhat surprising that it would grow with just that format. But I think almost the novelty and the uniqueness of it, again, in today's age, is what draws it to people. They know if they want to see what's happening in Perrysburg Living Magazine, for example, they've got to get their hands on a copy. And so that may change in the future, but right now that's kind of how we stand. Again, it's interesting how that some people who may not think that the print is a viable channel anymore. I talk to people every day that would tell you otherwise. And so that's why I'm so happy that Stacey's doing what she's doing, and that more people are resonating with this media outlet.
Excellent. Well, the final question I have for both of you is really, as publishers, what are you reading and what are you watching? And I'll start with you, Stacey.
Well, actually, I'm learning all the different roles in the publication process. That's what I'm doing recently. I do have a wonderful team of 4 that really is really banging it out and doing a great job. but it's up to me to actually learn those different aspects too. That's a lot of what I'm doing. I am reading all different types of magazines. It doesn't matter what type it is, just looking for inspiration and how we deliver what we deliver.
Excellent. Excellent. Michael, what are you reading and watching?
So I spend a lot of time paying attention to what's people are talking about in these communities. And so a lot of my free time is actually spent observing the free time of other people, which might sound a little strange.
Free time watching
But
free time. Yes.
yeah, but I really care about what people in the communities we reach care about. And I have very intimate touch points in connections to all of these places and different phases of my life and things that I've done. But at the end of the day, I like to watch, since I left maybe being in their school district weekly, since then now, what are the new conversations? What are the new directions and hopes and visions of that community? And so I spend a lot of time observing. And I actually really kind of enjoy that because I try to, again, filter out the noise.
Mm-hmm.
There's certainly very important things we need to be talking about and things that are absolutely essential for us to know about and resolve. But I'm always looking for more of that family friendly, good news opportunity, that story, that opportunity that might get buried by some headlines. But wow, we need to give somebody the opportunity if they choose to share it. And then I spent a lot of time involved in, I'm a worship leader at my church. I spent a lot of time with personally developing myself from on leadership materials to things related to my faith. And so I try to invest in myself personally and not just invest in everybody else, but find a balance in there that's not perfect of doing that. So whatever comes to me, hopefully, I keep improving myself daily so that I'm a better steward of trusted information and important topics for others.
Well, I can't thank you enough, both of you coming on and really sharing about your experiences with publications. I know I talk to individuals who are mission driven as well, purpose driven, trying to figure out what they're going to publish. And so I talk so much with them, and if they're writing a book, if they're going to do an article. And so I'm so encouraged that for those that are thinking about, well, should I just start and write a story and share it in a magazine, you both have laid pathway for that for those that may be thinking about it. So thank you so very much for coming on.
Thank you so much for the invitation.
Yes, thank you. Really appreciate it.
And thank you to our listeners who are getting the show and downloading it and sharing it with others and liking it. We appreciate you and your feedback. Please don't forget to send it to us at info@mazeassociatesltd.com. Thank you to our sponsor, Jennifer Penzition, who is an Edward Jones financial advisor extraordinaire. Thank you so much for your sponsorship. And of course, until next time.
The Pen Leader podcast is hosted by Dr. Shanda Gore and brought to you by Maze & Associates Ltd, creating customized solutions for growth in the areas of leadership development, strategic planning, and culture building. Find out more at www.mazeassociatesltd.com. Don't forget to subscribe to the Pen Leader podcast and share with others.